I had the privilege to take part in their confirmation hearings. I did my best to perform my solemn constitutional duty to assess their fitness to take their seats on the High Court. I did my best to ascertain their legal philosophies and judicial ideologies with careful questioning, as did my colleagues on the Judiciary Committee. Although I did not in the end support Judge Roberts, he garnered an impressive 22 Democratic votes, and I anguished for days before ultimately voting nay. And although Judge Alito managed to win far fewer votes than Roberts, there were no serious efforts to block him, and he, too, was easily elevated to the High Court. So the question comes, were we too easily impressed with the charm of the nominee Roberts and the erudition of nominee Alito? And so every day I feel more comfortable with my vote against Chief Justice Roberts. And every day I'm pained that I didn't do more to try and block Justice Alito. I was one who felt we ought to filibuster. But my colleagues convinced me we just didn't have the votes. 36, and we needed, of course, 41. We should have done everything we could to have blocked Alito. We should have done our job better. As I said, many of my colleagues said we didn't have the votes. We should have done much more to persuade them to switch their positions. Ideology matters. It stands to reason that a conservative lawyer who's represented the most conservative administrations and taken the most conservative positions as a lawyer is likely to be a very conservative jurist. Senators have an obligation to scrutinize the character and philosophies of judicial nominees. Nominees have an obligation to cooperate. This is especially when a nominee's ideology, judicial philosophy, and constitutional views are central consideration in the President's decision to nominate. There's an inherent logic in preventing the Senate from considering the one factor, ideology, that is the central to the President's own nomination decision. It is best for the Senate and the country when this scrutiny and debate occurs in an open and rational way. For the rest of this President's term, and if there is another Republican elected with the same selection criteria, let me say this. We should reverse the presumption of confirmation. The Supreme Court is dangerously out of balance. We cannot afford to see Justice Stevens replaced by another Roberts or Justice Ginsburg by another Alito. Given the track record of this President and the experience of obfuscation at hearings, with respect to the Supreme Court at least, I will recommend to my colleagues that we should not confirm any Bush nominee to the Supreme Court except in extraordinary circumstances. They must prove by actions, not words, that they are in the mainstream, rather than we have to prove that they are not. Considering the constitutional harm and dramatic departures that are in store if those few are joined by one more ideological ally, we have to, in my judgment, stick by the precepts that I've elaborated. I will do everything in my power to prevent one more ideological ally from joining Roberts and Alito on the court. Thank you.